today in our series of learning the new features of FCCs. Today we are going to learn about the concept of equity pickup. How this we can work out this equity pickup scenario in our application. So, so what does the prerequisite requires for this equity pickup? For this purpose, all the entities which we are in which we are working must be an intercompany entities. The second one is one holding only under one holding, only one holding, basically only one holding under a parent. It means we cannot have two holding under the same parents, and the entity currency for holding and parent must be the same, and equity pickup option must be enabled for application. That is, this can be done either at the time of creation of application, or later on we can also enable it. It is after creating application we can also enable it. And EP sequence and calculation must be enabled, and equity pickup rule must be deployed for this. So let's go and see this equity pickup option for this application. So we will just go to this application from where we can enable it, or from where we can see whether it has been enabled or not. Okay. Under configuration, we have this enabled feature. Now you can see the intercompany data, that is intercompany track application elimination has also been ticked, has also been enabled, and at the same time under ownership management is very much enabled in every application, and this equity pickup is also been enabled here. Otherwise, if it not been enabled, you can enable it from here. As I have already enabled it, so that's why it is, we can see it as an enabled. It had already been ticked, and no more these are the two mandatory requirements, that is this equity pickup. Ownership structure was already, ownership management was already generally enabled in application, and this one intercompany data, this one. So if it would have now been enabled, would have been enabled, then we would have to just tick on this and have to click on this enable to enable this feature. As it has been done, I will not enable it again. And the second requirement here is to this EP sequence and calculation must also be enabled. For that, I will go to this consolidation process. Under consolidated, okay, I will just go once again here. Equity pickup option. Under this equity pickup option, this should be under this equity pickup option, this under calculation setting, equity pickup sequence and calculation must have been enabled. Otherwise it was in no mode, not by default it was in no mode. It remains there as a no mode, it remains under the no mode. So we have to just click and have to enable it as, make it as yes, equity pickup. And the under the consolidation, under the configurable consolidation, the third requirement, that is equity pickup rules must be deployed. Now we can see under this different consolidation rules, we have 4 rules: EPU prepare source data, EPU consolidate EPU source data, reverse holding company data, and EPU consolidate EPU source data indirect grouping. So all these must have been enabled. As I already deployed it, so we don't need to deploy it once again. Otherwise, we will have to just have to take this one and have to click on this deploy. Okay, this one. Now the third requirement is the another requirement, mandatory requirement is under dimension. The entity which we are going to create must have been an intercompany entity. So I will just quickly create the entity for this purpose. Uh, okay, so under this today's session, we will just go through the two scenarios. Under the first scenario, there will be three entity S101, 2 and 3, in which AS holding, that is it is holding and it is subsidiary. So the holding, that is S101, will be having 80% share in S102, and similarly at the same time will be having 60% share in S102. So these two are the subsidiaries of A. So we will just go and define this structure in our ownership structure. So for that we will just go and let's see whether these entities have already been defined as intercompany, yes or no. So these are S01, 102. Under view, you can see this has been defined as intercompany entity, and similarly for this 2 and 3 are also been designated or enabled as intercompany entities. So for defining the ownership structure for this purpose, we will just go under this one, under the consolidation. We will select our correct POV. Under this total geography, actual year, our year will be 15 and the period will be January. Okay, and we will just take our preview. Now this under, it has been south 101, it is 100, right, and have been defined as consolidated. For the site 102, it is 80. Now we'll just take some another entity. I think somebody has already prepared some case with this. We will take just west 101. Okay, so as somebody has already if somebody has inputted that member, we may get some the incorrect figure. So we will just take west 101. This has also been an intercompany entities. So west 101, we will define it as holding. West 102, we will be defining its ownership percentage as 80. Consolidation will be there and under subsidiary. And for this 103, this is also a subsidiary. We will just go and save this one. Okay, and we'll just do a recomputation of ownership data. Actual 15 Jan. Okay, the recomputation has already been done. We will go and input the figure in our POV. So for that we will take 101, 102 and 103 and refresh it. Now you can see this is our holding and 102 and 103 is our subsidiary, it's 80 and 60% respectively. So we have taken the two members, cash and common stock, and retain earning. So as per our scenario, we will just input the figure. So it is 10,000 for just change it as of S we will do W, and similarly for this also. Okay, so for 101, 102 and 103 we go and just input the figure here. Under the cash, what is our capital? Capital means here, share capital, common stock, both are the same. And net profit, for net profit purpose we will input the figure under income 1, and we will submit this figure. Now the figure has already been inputted by us. Now we have defined the ownership structure properly and enable the the equity pickup, and they deployed the required equity pickup consolidation rules. Okay, now we will go and run the business rule for this to get our result. Under rules, consolidate. So we will run the rule for entity W underscore 101. So we will run this consolidation not for at the parent level but at the holding level. Okay, 101 January actual. Rule, just we will just go and see under the job whether this has been successfully done or not. So it has completed. We will go to our smart sheet. This is our input sheet. We will see the result in our output sheet. So let me just change the POV, the entities basically. It will be 102 and it will be 1. Now you can see we got our desired figures. Okay, so how does we got this figure? So this is our West 101. This is our holding holding, and this is our first subsidiary. This is our second subsidiary. Okay, I will do it another. Okay, this is one. So as per cash, they both have been clubbed and carried to holding. Its holding common stock 4 plus 7. No, it will come. It will come as it is. Sorry, my fault. 10,000, 4,000, 6,000, 10,000, and similarly for capital 6,000, 4,000, 3,000. Okay, but the real change will appear in our retained earning and in our equity pickup figure. So now you can see we have got this equity pickup figure of 7200. So how this 7200 has arrived? Okay, now we can see from here that under the current the income of West 103, it is 1000. Okay, retained earning current, it is 1000. From here it will take 60% share. From here it will take 80% share. It is 2200. Okay, it is 80% and 2400. Okay, this is from the retainer. Okay, and from the common stock the similar figure we will take. Now it comes to 7200. Okay, 7200 11,200 as our equity pickup amount. So this is how we have calculated for this equity pickup for W101 for the holding entry. How much he will how much this entity will take from 102, that is from 6,000 net capital plus net profit. It is 80%, and from 103 it will take, from 102 it will take or it will fetch 2,400, that is 60% of this one, 4,000. So it comes to 7200. That's why it is showing as 7200 as our equity pickup amount. And the W101 it itself has 4,000 as its net profit, so it will, if we total these two figures, it will come to 11,200. Okay. So we are getting this figure under the retained earning current. So this is our figure. So this figure matches our scenarios, the Excel scenarios figures. So it has worked properly for us when we enable this equity pickup, and we have two subsidiaries for one holding. Okay. And under one holding we have two subsidiaries with different shares. So it has calculated the figure as per the ownership percentage B. So this is our first case. Now we will come to our second case, which is the important one and have to be seen to do in a proper manner. So under the second scenario, what we have done, under second scenario we have three entities, entity 1, 2 and 3, and their amount is given here, bank and the net profit, capital amount. And the scenario here is entity 1 holds 100% share in entity 2. Okay, entity 1 entity 2 100%, right? Similarly, entity 1 has its share or its ownership of 30% in entity 3. Okay, and entity 2 has 80% share, 60% share in entity 3. Okay, so entity 1 holds 100% equity, holds 100% ownership of entity 2, right? And at the same time entity holds 30% share in entity 3, and subsequently the entity 2 holds 60% share in entity 3. So indirectly we can say the entity 1 holds 90% share in entity 3. Entity 1, entity 3. Okay, let's do it in another way. Direct, and indirectly. Entity 1 how much indirect, how much entity 1 how much holds in entity 3 indirectly, through directly 30%, and through indirectly it is 60%, this one, and 60% indirectly through entity 2, so it becomes 90%. So this is direct, we can say this is direct and this is indirect. So we can call it as indirectly. Indirectly holds 90%. Entity A in entity 3. So let's quickly create this entity in our application and see the result, whether what we are saying we get that figures actually or not. So we will just go to our application. Under dimension, we will first create the 3 entities which we are talking about. So entity 1 holds 100% in entity 2 and entity 2 holds 60% in entity 3 and entity 1 also holds 30% in entity 3. So for to create this structure, ownership structure in the ownership structure in application, we will create the entities for this. We will create entity structure for this, and we remember we have the condition that only one holding can be there under parent. So we cannot have two holdings in a single parent. So we have to keep this in also mind while creating this ownership structure. So we will just go to this our application. Under entity, under total geography, I will just create the another entity 1. Okay. So under this total, I will create a sibling for this or a child for total geography. So I will just rename it as entity TOT, which is the grandparent for all these sub entities USD, and we will have to do this as ignore, and we will just save it. Okay, so this amount will be appearing under this entity total. Now we have created this entity total. Now under this we will create a child of it, that will be entity 1. Okay, this will be USD default and ignore, plant type will be ignore consolidation, and we will have to enable it as intercompany. Okay, so the hierarchy will look like this one: ENT underscore TOT. So under this TOT, I will just take the, will create it here, and okay, we will create it here. Then let's remain it as it. Entity total will be our grandparent, and under this we will be creating entity 1 input allowed or not. Yes, data input we can do it. So we will term it as holding. Okay, and under this entity 1 we will create one parent, subparent, you can say a sibling of this with the name ENT23. Okay, this no data, means we cannot input data in it, and it will be a subsidiary. And under, okay, we will just take it this under this entity 223, it will be a parent and sublink to ent1. Under ent1 to 23, we will create one entity as entity 2 and one as entity 3. So we can input data here, and we will term this entity 2 as our holding and entity 3 as subsidiary. And so what is the ownership percentage here? It will be 100%, and entity 2 will be 60%, and it will be 100%. Means entity 1 has 100% share in so we will just use this one as I already have this one without wasting any time. So it will be entity dot, it will be entity 1, it will be 2 3, it will be 2, it will be 3. Okay. For the entity total dot, entity 1 will be the child with holding 100%, entity 23 will be the parent with no data, we cannot input data in it. And under this entity 23 we have two entity, ent2 and ent3. One is holding and one is subsidiary. So we have this 100% and 60% ownership. So entity 2, this entity 2 is a subsidiary of this whole entity 1 with 100% ownership, and entity 3 is a subsidiary to entity 2 with 60% ownership. And similarly, as we have seen, entity 3, this 30% direct has equity picker has a 30% share. Okay, entity. So for that we will create an shared member for this entity 3. As we have seen that the entity in entity 3, in entity 3 has 30% take of 21. Okay, so entity 3 has ENT, I will call it as entity 3 for our purpose. Entity 3 has two ownership. So one is with entity 1, that is 30% share, and entity has 60% stake of entity 2 also. So to define this has become some a quite complex one, a slight complex. So to define this is a challenge, and we have to take the note of this, which is important from while creating this application. So for that purpose, we have created entity 1 as our holding, and under this we will create a sibling for this. This is entity 2 3. It is entity 2 3. It will be ignored. It will be ignored, and save it. And under entity 2 3 we will create two child. Which one is first? The entity 2 Okay, we will make it as ignore, and we will make it as ignore, and we'll define it as intercompany entity, and just save it. And we will create a sibling to this, or a child under entity 2 3. We'll create a sibling entity 3, entity 3, it will be an ignore, it will be an ignore, attribute it as intercompany entity. Okay, now we have defined this structure, entity 1 and entity 2, and now for this entity 3 purpose we have to create a, as entity 3 has ownership stake, so to take care of that we have to create a shared member of this entity 3, okay, to get our proper result. And as entity 3 we have defined this subsidiary holding relationship under entity 2 3 for entity 2 and 3, but to define this 30% stake, this one, this 30% stake, we have to create a shared member for, as the entity is same, it is also a holding and it is also an equity. So to create this one entity is same, we have to create a shared member for entity 3. So we will create a shared member with under the entity 1. Okay, under entity 1 we will create a sibling of it, which will be we will term it as entity 3, and we'll make it as ignore, and we'll keep the data storage as shared. Okay, and we will just share. Now it has become our shared member for entity 1, as entity 3 is already available in our main hierarchy with under entity 2 3 as a subsidiary. So for this taking care of this equity portion, we have created a shared member of this for entity 1 because it has 30% share in of entity 1. So we have defined it as we have created this structure. Now we will define this ownership structure under the consolidation. So it will take some time. So we have to just refresh it, and I have already created the input sheet for this also. I will just change okay, and for also for the output sheet. Just refresh it, go to this sheet and refresh it. Okay, there is no figure because we have not inputted any figure in it right now. So it is refreshing our database, so it will help. So it will, by doing this we will be taking the changes which we made in our metadata into the application. So we will just make it as run in background. Now let's wait for few more seconds. Only then we will define the ownership structure. So what we have done for the second scenario, which is a slight complex one, in which the entity 3 has uh, its share in is it's owned by two companies, entity 1 and entity 2. Entity 2, under entity 2 it is a subsidiary, and for entity 1 it is an equity, as it has 30% share, 60% share. Running in background. Okay, we will just wait for this to complete, and we have defined accordingly the ownership structure in our entity dimension, and we will define the ownership percentage and the method of consolidation into our ownership structure, and we'll import this figure. Now finished. So this is our structure, never share, it is shared. Now we will go to our consolidation to define the ownership percentage. Now it is saying metadata has been changed as we have added the new entities. So entity, total geography, our scenario is actual 15 January. So this is our entity total, just so this is our ownership, the entities which we have just already created. Okay, this is our parent. Now entity 1 we will define it as holding with 100% share, and it is an entity 3. Remember this entity, remember this entity 3 is a shared one. So under that we will define it as 30%, and it will automatically take the consolidation method as equity, right? Now we will come to the entity 2 3. Entity 2 will be holding, right, and entity 3 will be subsidiary with 60% ownership to this entity 2. We will just save it, and we will recompute the ownership data. Holding equity. Okay, just do it once again. We will input the figure, and we will just go here and we'll input the figure for this member. So we have this entity 1 2 and 3. We'll just change the alias so that it will be helpful for us to understand this code. Now you can see, as per our scenario, we will input under bank, that is under cash, as these 3 figures, 1 2 3, and also for capital, that is the share capital or common stock, and we'll just submit, and we will ignore this retain earning amount here in this scenario. And after inputting this figure, uploading this data input, we will run the consolidation for 2 entities. First for entity 1, for entity 2. So it will take the figures from entity 3 as per the subsidiary and holding arrangement. Okay, just okay. I will also underscore, just replace it. space. Okay, so we will first run the consolidation for entity 2. So what it will do, it will take the figures from entity 3 and will roll up to the entity 2 as per the holding and subsidiary relationship. So we will go to this one and we'll run the consolidation rule, business rule. So consolidate, so we will run the same for entity 2 first and then for entity 1. So it will give us a proper result as we require. So entity, under entity 2, 3 we have entity 2 and just okay. It will be January actual FY15. Just launch it. Just go and see the result under job. It has been successfully done. Now we will go and check the result, not in the output new, in the new sheet first. See, we got the figure for entity 2 and entity 3 only, because we have run the consolidation for entity 2 and 3. Let's see whether it matches with our scenario or not. So it is 6000 for entity 2 and 4000 for entity 3. 4000. So how it has taken the 4000? This is the figure 4000. And for this equity pickup, how does we got this equity pickup? 4000 into 60%. 60%, that is 2400. So it came as 2400. As we see in our first case also, 7200. How it arrived? We have taken the ownership percentage of subsidiary, right? 3000. So it comes to 1800. As here we have two entities, but here we have only one entity. One entity has become our the equity. So from entity 3, from the common stock, 60% share will be shown as equity pickup under the entity 2. Now we will run the consolidation for entity 1. So we will just again go to this one and we'll run the business rule. Where is that rule? It is here. Consolidate. Now we will run the same for entity 1 only. January actual 15. Just launch it. Okay. Go and see under job whether it has completed the run the business rule or not. Yes, it has run. Go to this one. Go to our new sheet. Go to this one. We'll just refresh it. Now you can see the figures are now being changed. We will just change this alias. And we'll see whether the figures have been coming as per our requirement or not. So this is the 2400 for entity 2. It is 2400. And for entity 1, what is the amount? 9600. So how it has come? 6,000 from 100%, that is from entity 2, and 60% from entity 3. It comes to 2,400, 8400, and the 30% of entity 3, so it comes to 9600. The cash will remain as it is, common stock will remain as it is. But what we have got, we have got the retained earning figure 9600. So it will be like this: 9600, 4000 into 90%, it comes to 3600, and the 100%, that is the 6000, it comes to 9600. Or alternatively, we will get 6000 from here, 2400, 60% of entity B, and it is 9600. So this is how this figure is. We get the equity, the equity pickup amount for this entity 1, so which is matching with our scenario. So this is how the equity pickup works, and under this simple equity pickup case, and this one is the chain holding case, in which we have two subsidiaries, two ownership stake, in one as a subsidiary and one second as a equity. Okay, so this is the result of our equity pickup, and we have to just take care of the ownership structure, the entities which we define, and also to define the ownership structure for this. So we have to take a precaution for while defining this ownership structure and creating the entity. So this is all for our today's session, and we'll come again with another topic on FCCs. And for any query or questions, you can just come and reach out to us at support@bispsolutions.com. And also you can see the other useful and knowledgeable videos on our YouTube channel. So with that, we conclude our today's session, and we'll meet again. Okay, thank you.